Okay, it's saying I'm live. I hope I'm live. I'm in the garden anyway, and I'm in the tent. So, and in fact, I have my laptop with me just to check that I have gone live. But there's quite often a bit of delay on it. But my laptop is inside an IKEA plastic bag because it's been lashing rain all morning, and it's still raining on and off. It's that kind of summer heavy misty rain. We've had like about 2.5 inches of rain already today. And when I planned to do this, having a live stream from the garden, I visualized it as being a lovely day like yesterday. And it just creates another level of difficulty. But it's showing I'm live on the other computer. So that's a good start. And yeah, so I'm going to try and do a bit of drawing while I'm sitting here, but I thought you'd like to see the foliage and things. This is in a little tripod, but hang on, I'll try and move. So, we might see some birds as well. And I also have, I had a book delivered today. I'm going to show to you. It's about nature and has nice illustrations, and so I'm very pleased with that. And it's from 1892, so it's over 130 years old. I picked it up online, didn't I? And I just wanted it. You know the way you just get things like that. You go, I've got it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a bit of sketching, talk about the book, but I'm also going to talk about summer plans because we just passed midsummer. I had a lovely fairy party the other night in the garden. There's also a bonfire burning bits of wood off from the garden party. But we had loads of fairies because you see, in the garden we have a little fairy patch over here. And it looks like nettles, but there's a lot of little winged fairies in there because I discovered a lots and lots of little black spots all over it. And when I looked, I said, "Oh, I hope it's what I think it is," because it was eggs hatching out with loads of little black hairy caterpillars. Here's the bird. Sparrows. You can watch the sparrows when I tell you about the fairies. So sorry about the squeaky tripod. They're getting used to the tent. It's a camouflagey tent, but any structure in the garden, they're wary of for a few minutes. Then they come back to have their grain, and a little further in the tree, you'll see them going in and out. They have a lovely suet bowl in there that they feed from. They love that. They usually demolish. I put 2 suet bowls in there every day nearly. They demolish that before they start in on the seed. And they're such fun watching them. Mostly these guys, but I have 2 uh, pigeons as well. And I actually have a picture of the pigeons to show you because I have a few pictures that I have done from sitting in this spot. Sorry, you're a little bit crooked in this spot. That's the nature gardens. A lot of crookedness goes on. Um, yeah, so the fairies, right? We just just to complete the story about the little fairies. I think butterflies as fairies. So at the fairy party, we did have fairies because we had moths around the fire. And I did get through all the wood, burning off all the wood. Here's the rain setting heavy again. But the caterpillars have all sort of disappeared off the nettle patch now. And slugs would have got some of them, but I'm hoping some of them make it because they're going to be peacock butterflies. So that would be lovely, won't it? And they need the weeds, you see. And I don't think of nettles as weeds because I make lovely nettle soup. So I'll show you some of the things that I have done from this spot in the garden. You know, the garden is nice down the other end. Not quite as wild because I haven't let the grass go as long. But I'd like to just point you past the laptop in the bag and point you at my lap there. And I have this in plastic bags because I've left this sketch pad out here all morning. I left it for a few hours uncovered to test, to make sure nothing was getting in under my tarpaulin. You can see my tarpaulin, what my tarpaulin looks like in the thumbnail for this video. But this summer, right, plans involve the tarpaulin. There's the pigeons. I had wild pigeons in the tree for a while. Then they came back and they had a young pigeon with them. So they obviously had a baby pigeon as well. Now they have disappeared off again. So they must have disappeared off when the young pigeon got old enough and gone off and done their thing elsewhere. And I was just kind of a stop along the way, but they were enjoying it, the grain and everything. And interestingly enough, if we look over here, if I can tilt it around, we look over here. I don't know if we're going to be able to see properly, give it a minute to refocus. But in there, kind of straight ahead of me there's some sort of grain, millet or wheat or something growing that dropped out of the second feeder, which is up there, second bird feeder. So I have crops and everything growing here, wheat or millet. This is the nice thing about leaving something a little bit wild. Oh yeah, we were looking at the sketch pad. Sorry, there's so much to look at. You don't want to look at that anymore, the computer. In fact, I'm going to close that down because it's raining, isn't it? And I don't want any equipment getting destroyed. I just wanted to check that we were live. I might lose the connection yet, but I did move my Wi-Fi router to a different window, and it's out facing out the open window here, so we're not very far from the router, so I think we'll be okay. So this was what I had been doing in this spot, you see, a few weeks ago now, and I was doing various drawings and paintings in this spot. Today I'm probably not going to be working in gouache because a single drip on a gouache, even these when they're dry like this, single drip on it can wreck the picture and leaves a big stain. So I'm going to close this sketchbook in a minute and show you the other thing, and then I'll just draw with the pen today if I can find where I dropped my pen, because I had it in my hand earlier and it's around me nearby, but has dropped off the little table. Everything's crooked, you see, the ground's all crooked here. So this presents all sorts of challenges. This, I thought, was the most successful of all the things I did outside in this corner, this tiny little picture. So all the work I did, and I ended up with one piece that was successful. I had other pieces like on a piece of paper like these, but that worked out better than the rest. Yeah, that's basically it. Amazing, you can put in so much work. I mean, it was days out here working on tiny little things before I felt I was getting the hang of it. So this is the sketchbook I'll be working in today for drawing. And it's live and working. Thank you for the feedback. That's great. Of course, if it stops working in the middle, I'm with my laptop now with the top closed on it's rather doubtful that I'll see if the connection goes or anything, but it's nice. It's a nice change, isn't it, being outside? And I want to be outside a lot in this summer. I did say that at the beginning of summer, didn't I? So that was always the plan this summer. But the plan, I'm going to kind of up the plan a bit, because I was saying to you recently that I have a new bit of kit. Haven't got it yet, but I can't hold on to the surprise anymore. I'm going to just tell you what it is. On Monday, I have an e-bike arrived. So Donna Emerald Art will have like a company van. I'm thinking of it as the company van. I'll be white van man, white van woman. We don't do deliveries anywhere, but you know the way I go off on expeditions and things. So like I have transport to do it in, and I had a bike, but I was finding it really hard work on the bike with some of the hills and things. I just hope the e-bike will make it a bit easier for me. But I have a new idea around it that's tarpaulin related. So I don't know, can you guess what that is? Um, I want to do an overnighter. And what I want to do is go off somewhere halfway up. I won't call it a mountain, a hill. I won't do anything too adventurous. But I'd like to overnight camp with my tarpaulin because the weather at the moment here hasn't dropped below 13 degrees, what's it called, Celsius overnight for weeks now. And that's about 50, 55 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's balmy, you know. It's very humid indoors sleeping, but it's very balmy out. And there aren't any high breezes or anything in the summer. So what I wanted to do is go off on the e-bike. When I get used to riding the bike, I'll have a few goes riding, get used to riding it. And then I head off and I have a little air mattress thing that's not terribly compact, but probably can be strapped to my rucksack some way. And go off halfway up a hill, paint, no, draw probably, well, paint maybe, bring gouaches and things like that. Um, paint a sunset and a sunrise on a little, like it's a mini adventure, a summer mini adventure. And, conditions at the worst would probably be something like today, because today it's, it could be belting down a bit harder than this, but under my tarpaulin, the tarpaulin is pretty waterproof, and unless you get a high breeze that it's going to take off and you don't have it fastened down properly, um, you're going to have a fairly comfortable night apart from bugs. We have very vicious mosquitoes here, and I really need mosquito hood. But I have invested in some poles for the tarpaulin, a couple of bivy poles that twist up. They fold out, but they twist up, and you attach your guy ropes to those, you see. So I'd have a tarpaulin over me, I'd have an air mattress under me, and I would have those silver emergency blankie things, a couple of them taped together, and be sleeping in my clothes. So for one night, you know what I mean, that would be okay. So a mini adventure, you see, within the next couple of weeks, say. So the next blast I get of what I think is going to be fine weather. It's not the end of the world if it rains at night, and it's always dewy in the mornings here. Um, but the next blast of okay weather we get that's dry-ish, I'll do that. So I'm in training for that, you see, being in the garden. So I'm going to show you the new book and the new old book. And if this hasn't been seen on the internet, um, the illustrations and everything were completely news to me, right? I bought it on the strength of one illustration that they showed from not even this book, a different book, I think. But I'm hoping you can see that illustration properly because it is beautiful. This is a book by H.W.S. Worsley Benison, and it's a fourth edition from 1892. And the illustrations are, what are the illustrations? Let's see. And he's a clergyman, so there's a bit more God in it than I would like, but there's a lot of God in association with nature, which isn't too bad for me. I can deal with that. It's called Nature's Fairyland. Isn't that lovely? But I don't know. They might be his illustrations. The person who illustrated it is a Royal Academy person, anyway. I'll write it under the video if it's not him, anyway, just so he gets credit, even if he's long dead. But they're all beautiful illustrations like this that are, I can't tell the difference between etchings and engravings, to be honest with you. I'm not an expert, but one could learn a lot from these if one likes nature, yeah. So, from the point of view of landscape, nice stuff. But also, even this one, look, it's like, right, apart from the mushroom, it's like what I have right in front of me, look, So no wonder it's inspiring. And it shows you wonderful ways to kind of do little cross hatching things. Sorry, I don't know if it's actually focusing in on that. I think if you do it with your hand, yeah, it should be focused now. Same kinds of leaves and everything. But he does lovely cross hatching on it. And, every chapter starts with a beautiful illustration. This is one of my favorites here. The sort of cross hatching and the way he handles shading and everything is just so lovely on that. And the way that he does trees, the mark making for that, because that's all, it's like working with ink. I know it's not a pen, like it's some sort of steel or something you use to engrave it, but it's like drawing with the pen. But does all these little tiny little circular shapes here and a bit of cross hatching down here, but really nice mark making for drawing that he's using. And I'm going to really enjoy studying those close up, I think. And I'm going to read the book as well. Um, the first chapter is appropriate for today, The Journeying of the Raindrops. Now, I am whinging a bit because it's not raining that heavy, but it's just really, really wet out here. And it's a great test for their tarpaulin. If I hadn't tested it already, I would have been very impressed with it today because nothing has come through that tarpaulin at all after being up for hours and hours and hours. So it's well waterproof. So out among the gorse, the houseflies story, all the chapters are all exactly the sort of thing I love reading about. And of course, because it's a very old book, it's in the style, written in the style I love as well. So, and it's a beautiful cover, isn't it? So I'm very happy with that. It was a bit of a gamble. I didn't know how it was going to look. Oh, there's my pen. It's on my lap. It's busy writing on my trousers. So, what do you think of my little overnight plan? I mightn't see a sunset and mightn't see a sunrise if the weather turns like this. I mean, it's Ireland; it could turn like this very easily. But you see something else. You see interesting fog over mountains or something instead. So let's see, can I? So yeah, I'm so excited about the e-bike arrival. That's a huge upgrade to my art kit because it's going to get me to places without me being exhausted. So this is why I kind of thought of that idea of an overnight stay at one of the places. I mean, I could just go out and then get up really early the next morning and go back, but uh, because I kind of in theory, might arrive there fresh to the place I'm painting, I won't feel so exhausted that I want to go home. Maybe, I don't know. It's all about experimenting, isn't it? So I'm going to do a little bit of drawing now, and I'm going to look maybe at some of the mark making in this book, and what am I going to eat on my expedition? Good question. Well, I've thought about that too, because planning these things is some of the fun of them, yeah. So this is what I'm going to eat. Over here to the right and over here, I'm going to make a lovely nettle soup, which is my speciality. And I absolutely love nettle soup. And I have a thermos flask that keeps things. Sorry, I'm just trying to adjust this so the sketchbook won't be as crooked. I have all sorts of little stools and everything set up, but they're all at funny angles because I'm sitting at on a slope here. I have a thermos flask that will keep the soup warm for 24 hours, right? So if I head out afternoon, right, if I want to do a sunset, I'd head out in the afternoon. I know the route I'm going. It's up a mountain, right? It's not a huge mountain. It's got a path through it. So the bike would stay at the bottom and there'd be a little bit of walking involved. So there'd be a bit of a hike. Then um, I got my soup in a flask and I got stuff in my backpack and carry-on that'll be overnight camping stuff. And so I can sit down and have a meal without much hassle. But I can save the camping, my little Trangia camping stove, I can save that for making a hot drink to go with my meal, if I want. But, with soup, you don't normally have a hot drink until maybe later in the night, have a hot drink. That's I'm Irish. I'm gonna have tea. So I would have the nettle soup, and I would bring with me. I think I would bring some. There's a lovely kind of a what would you call it? A pita style bread that has all little grains and things in it that I really like. Bring some of that, and I could bring some feta cheese or ordinary cheese and a couple of things to put in the sambo and have a sambo and nettle soup for tea. And that would be nice and warm and filling. And then easy to carry as well. You see, the thermos is the heaviest bit of that. I would be carrying some water as well. I tend to go through huge amounts of water when I'm out on the bike, but that's mostly, I'm going to try and do some roses over here. That's mostly because I've physically biked there rather than e-biked, right? And it's hard work, and I'm usually in a sweaty mess by the time I get there. So I would drink maybe quarter of a litre of water before I even get anywhere. So I'd want to bring about a litre of water with me. So obviously that's heavy. I can't really rely on streams and things like that are clean, and I don't have water filtration system. So I have to think of things like that. But at the same time, it is only an overnighter. So it's really one evening supply of water with enough for brekkie and then home, you know. So it's not a huge amount that I have to bring with me. So probably a litre and a half. I'd be bringing some for painting as well, you see. So a bit extra is required there. Generalising a bit about the roses here. So, sorry, you couldn't see half of that. Flashing now. But I'm sort of 3/4 in, out of the rain. My laptop is out, but the bag is covered. Okay. Not interested in getting electronics messed up. I did, Marlena. I made a video about nettle soup, and I think it's still on the channel. So the recipe is there for my famous nettle soup, and I have modified that recipe to another version of the soup that's just as nice, just a bit different, that I discovered recently. Because the nettle soup was made with a base of a carrot, an onion, and a potato. Okay, that the potato is to thicken it up, and the carrot and onion are to taste, and the onion, you just fry it off a little bit to release the flavour of the onion. I learned that from the Galloping Gourmet in the 70s. Nobody will know who that is, but I do. Oh no, a little drip got on my page and it's misbehaving. You see, the tiniest drip gets in and it messes up your drawing. So you cook off your onion for just a couple of minutes to release the flavour in some butter, Irish butter with loads of salt in it. And then you tip it into a big pan with some water and cut up um, your carrot and your potato. And you get a few handfuls of nettles all washed. And after your potatoes and carrots and everything have softened down, they're not going to be like mush or anything. They're just going to be soft enough for you to get a hand blender at them to make the soup smooth at the end. Um, you you got your washed nettles, and you don't have to take them off the stalks even. You just make sure you have gloves on so you don't get yourself all stung, and tip them in. But I have been using my tweak on that. Oh yeah, you need a stock cube as well, a vegetable stock cube if you're a vegetarian like me. I suppose if you're not a vegetarian, if you really wanted to put a chicken cube in, you could. But it's nice with a vegetable stock cube. It's really just the spicy taste, that gives it the kick. So uh, a sweet potato adds a different flavor to it. It makes the soup a different color. It's not as attractive the color with uh, sweet potato instead of an ordinary potato in the soup. But it is very tasty because it adds a very slight little bit of sweetness to it, more so than just having the carrot in. And it's a really delicious soup. It's my favorite thing. That's why I have so many fairies in the garden, you see. Because I let all the nettles grow because they're my cut and come later crop. Even when the tops of them go to seed like this, um, see the way the tops of them there have all seedy look about them. I don't usually put the seeds or anything into the soup. Because they're probably fine, but I usually just cut the tops off and then come down the stem like 4 or 5 uh, leaves down and collect them all in the colander, have my gardening gloves on for that one. Um, and they're delicious. But because I had so many this year, this is like the nettle side of the garden. Because I had so many, all the little caterpillars love them, and it's doing the butterfly population some good, hopefully. I'm quite hopeful I might see some peacock butterflies coming around. I saw not just one stick insect the other day, but I saw one the next day as well. So that's kind of an unusual thing to see. But I've seen stick insects here. I've seen the man next door had a big lizardy newt thing in his garden, which is kind of unusual in Ireland as well. You do get little tiny newts. This is quite a big thing. It could have been an escapee, actually. From, could have been a pet thing. I don't know. Um, but you see, when you have things left a little bit wild, uh, nature just loves it, absolutely loves it. So I think I know my book is very old, but I think I should bring it on that expedition just as a kind of an outing for a really old book. I love to see books, loved again. Maybe it's not loving bringing it up a mountain, but if I can protect it, those Ziploc bags are great, you see. And I'm reasonably confident I can keep myself dry as well. It's not the expedition I plan isn't dangerous in the least. Um, when I have little adventures, I always have safe adventures. And, you can always then get more adventures later if you manage the safe adventures if you're a thrill seeker. But I'm not really a thrill seeker. I want to be nice and fresh, you see, when I'm there for painting. So that's the main purpose of the thing. But obviously, seeing nature as well and being able to sit out in the middle of nature. Don't know, can you hear that? The wind is picking up very slightly, but it's just gusts catching the tarpaulin. And the tarpaulin had, what have I got in the way of the camera here? It's a big shadow, and I don't understand what it even is at the bottom here. Hang on. It's moving with the camera. What do you think that is about? Oh, it's I had the angle of the tripod in the way. I'm terribly sorry. This is all very experimental, just to see can we do it. You see, if I can do the back garden, I can do the front garden. And the front garden is actually rather interesting to draw as well. And some of the tarpaulin idea is that in the winter, I can continue drawing. Oh, it's belting down now. Is it hitting? Yeah, it's hitting the edge of that a bit. I have to keep moving back. I only have about, see, I'm tiny, so the tarpaulin only has 3.5 foot, the way I've set it up. But when I get those poles, where you can have sideways, you see, with the tripod. I put the sketchbook slightly sideways. When I have the poles, the two poles, um, I'm going to look at different ways to set that tarpaulin up like a tent. I'll probably never buy a tent. And I'd probably not buy a sleeping bag either, because I just see myself doing this in summer. Because this being out in the rain business. Oh, hang on, we've got more birds. Oh no, he's gone again, is he? Ah, here. They might come back. Don't know, birdies. Um, this being out in the rain business, like it's lashing at the moment, and it's all jolly fun in the summer, but not in the autumn. The minute a breeze picks up, you can get awfully cold. And I know that from going out sketching a lot, you see. So I'm not hugely tempted to do it at other times of the year, but I am really tempted to do it. Hello, little fellas. They still have a lot of the feed left. They're usually finished it by about the end. So yeah, if I really like it, I would at some stage consider getting a better camping air mattress, maybe, because there are ones that roll up really small. And my air mattress is one that I bought Aldi or Lidl or one of those places for when I moved into the house first. I didn't have a bed, and I was sleeping on a concrete floor, and concrete is very cold. And I was saving up the bed, you see. So I slept on it for months, but it's very, very warm because it's got that layer of air, you see, keeps you off the ground. So the cold doesn't seep up through you. So my theory is that in summertime, if it's not getting colder than around 13 degrees, it's been kind of 13 to 17 degrees at night recently, right? So if it's not getting any colder than that, uh, on an air mattress, you're not going to need huge amount of coverage, just sleeping in your clothes and a little, the little foil silver emergency blankets to keep out the the wet of the dew and everything at night. They're not breathable or anything, but to stop you getting wet at night. And you do retain heat in them. They don't make you warmer, but they keep the heat in. So, it sounds doable. But it's a monster of a thing. It's not heavy, very light, because it's mostly air in it. But, width-wise and everything, it's quite large looking. But I think I can strap it across the top when I'm walking up that hill. I can strap it across the top of my um, backpack, and it should be okay. See, a lot of space is going to be taken up in that backpack by things for drawing. It's amazing how much space few things take up. But what do you think? Do you think it's a stupid plan or a good plan? Or I'm probably going to do it. People think it's silly. Why not? You only live once. Have a little adventure. I'll have a little adventure. The worst I'll get is cold. Panniers, yeah, I could get panniers. You see, all these things cost, don't they? I have seen panniers on bikes, and they're trendy and so much you could fit in. Um, I'll see how I use the bike for a while uh, before I decide on you know extra equipment. I mean, I thought it was great the other day. I actually ordered a little bit of bike lube oil. I thought, oh, big investment. Because I've never, the other bike I've had it maybe 13 years, I have never oiled it. A friend of mine oiled it for me once. In 13 years, never oiled. I think we have a fight breaking out, do we? No, they just want their turn. They're fighting over alternative. Um, so yeah, I would think about it. I'll think about how much gear I'll need to bring. I'll think about, well, do I really need a sleeping bag after all? Or do I need to bring this, that, or the other? Is water really heavy before I invest in stuff like that? I think you can get panniers for a decent price. But there is a thing on the back of the e-bike that it's a pillion seat for a passenger, actually. You're not really supposed to have a passenger on a bike, but it's got a soft seat. But sometimes people use that for packing stuff on. So that would be, if I can find my bungee cord, a couple of bungee cords somewhere, if I could find them, I'd probably be packing the air mattress upright some way on that, strap it like the back of the bike as well, and try and have it a little bit more upright rather than crossways on the bike. But I'm not even out on kind of big main routes to do this adventure. So it's a really safe adventure. Like, we're kind of having an adventure. This for me is an adventure. Doing a live stream from my garden. Like, I'm easily pleased. Just as well you are. Because otherwise, why would you be watching this channel? I was watching binge watching her, actually, a girl who is doing camping at the moment, and she's in Scotland, going around Scotland, and some of the terrain around there is desperate, and she goes out deliberately in really, really bad weather. I wouldn't be into that. I'd be just terrified, you see. But in terms of running into loads of people or weird characters or anything, I wouldn't be that panicky. And the thing about that, right, is there is some advantage to having not very much gear. And the advantage, I think, is I don't have a fancy tents, right? I have the tarpaulin. But I like that because I like the idea of what you call stealth camping and learning more about that. I got a website that shows you something like 10, 15 different ways to set up your army poncho tarpaulin. And some of them involve a stealth camping, setting it up very low way. And I like that because the one thing about tents that I don't like, right, this freaks me out, is that in a tent, uh, most of the time there's one entrance. And I'm like a cat. I don't like going in somewhere where you can't get out some other way. I'd like a tent with two entrances. You probably pay an extra 100 quid for that. But like, if I heard somebody outside the tent, there's no way I'm not going to be a bit nervous about that. So I'm going to want to know where they are, and I'm going to want to see where they are and who they are. And I'm going to want to be able to get out of that area really fast if need be. So I like the idea of a tarpaulin set up not very high off the ground, that's semi hidden, and that you can roll out from under if you get into any difficulties with anybody weird or anything. Now, the places I'd be going, they'd be very motivated weirdos, wouldn't they? Because they'd have to go up bogs and mountains in the middle of the night to be weird. So it's highly unlikely. But I would definitely sleep better knowing that I'm in a what I would call a quick release situation where I don't feel trapped in a tent and that I can't see what's going on outside it. That would be scary for me. Hearing noises and not being able to see to make a plan to get out of there. You do have to think of these things, whether you're a girl or a fella, You tend to think like that all the time if you're a girl anyway, I find. I'm pretty freewheeling today about the drawing. I just really wanted to work in pen, and my little makeshift tent is moving around a lot now at the moment, even in a light breeze. Definitely want to get my tarpaulin skills up, but it's like a new nice project. But it's a project I'm very comfortable with because I am outdoors a lot anyway for painting things, you know. So the outdoorsy thing appeals to me a lot. And I know the terrain really well, and I know how to get there and back. And I'm hoping that the new company vehicle will just get me there and back without, at the beginning of videos, sometimes, don't know if you've noticed, but sometimes at the beginning of my videos, if it's plein air painting or something, I'm really out of breath at the start. That's because I've cycled there. So I'm usually incredibly sweaty as well as out of breath and tired. Like your hands and everything are shaking by the time you get there. And you need a while to kind of get your act together before you start drawing or painting. But you don't have it because you don't have much of the day. It's taken you a while to get there for a start. So you can't say, oh, the weather's nice now, or I've just seen that nice thing. I'm going back there immediately and be there within a few minutes. Whereas, I mean, I don't want to make too much of the bike before I actually have it. But I'm thinking it's bound to be better situation in terms of energy conservation. And the more energy I conserve that way, the more energy, presumably, that I have for drawing and painting. I still find doing tangles of leaves challenging, that. And I have a lot of ivy leaves in the garden, and can't see them as much because if you look here, the um behind the roses there, that's all blackberry. All the white flowers are blackberry flowers. And then on the towards the left, just behind that nettle patch, the fairy patch, um, that's where the ivy is. But when I did the painting in spring of that big tree back here, Um, I had that ivy in it, and I found the ivy so hard to do. So now I don't have to worry about the ivy as much, but sort of all the tangles of leaves coming down on that kind of rose and blackberry bush. Still tricky, but I love doing it. And birds often give out to me. They're not giving out today. They're getting used to me being out here with the tarpaulin. But they used to kick the stink when I came out first and sat under it. And it was really like they were giving out to me. They're so sweet in the rain though, because after they've gotten their fill, they'll line up on branches like that. I'm hoping you can see them all lined up. And they look a bit wet and miserable, but they sit there cleaning through all their feathers and everything and just kind of commiserating with each other about the weather. And they look like they're in a really bad mood before breakfast time. But at 11 a.m., I come out and I fill those feeders, and they get a lot jollier from then on. I always feel sorry for them really in the rain because they're such tiny little things. But you see, sitting out in nature like this, you learn all their little habits. And the last book that I showed you, with birds in it, another very old book from the 1920s. That book had loads of pictures of birds, and the guy had obviously observed their habits very well and loved nature. Oh, it's actually really cozy in here now because the rain's beating down on the top of the tarpaulin. Looking forward to trying out those poles though, because the poles that I have on this at the moment, um, they're bamboo, just bamboo kind of twigs, and I have them poking up into the inside of the actual poncho, and I don't like putting the tension on the thing too much because I'm afraid of poking holes in basically a very expensive poncho. That was as expensive as a cheap tent. I did see tents I liked and everything, but same thing. I liked these sort of bivy style tents that are a long tent that are like a sleeping bag kind of shape. They're very low to the ground and long, very basic. You'd just be sliding into them at night. You wouldn't be sitting up in them. But the same thing, I thought, oh no, I would feel very trapped in one of those now if I heard somebody few footsteps approaching or a funny noise or something, and I'd be like, how the hell do I get out of this? I'd be very nervous. So that's why I thought, no, I'd actually prefer, I'd love to have the tarpaulin over me, learn how to put it over me so that it's actually open at the sides and I can just roll out. It's one of those things, planning for a situation that probably never would happen, but you still plan for it anyway, you see. So I only have 5 minutes left to do this. So I don't know where this drawing is going really. So I've been so busy talking about plans, but that summer, you see, that is the plan. The plan was to be outdoors as much as possible to get the best out of the summer because this kind of rain in winter is not fun at all. I don't, in summer, I can say to myself, well, I'm not going to let the rain stop me. I can get coverings over me and be fairly waterproofed. But in the winter, or autumn even, with added cold, you know, you've less of a window to get out and do things. So I don't want to be, by the time cold arrives in the winter, I don't want to be sitting around going, oh, I wish I'd gone to such and such a place. Oh, wow, you're missing loads of action here. I ain't telling you, but like by the time I tilt the thing around, it's gone. But They were all in mid-air, flying around the thing, having a fight about it's my turn next, like that. But loads of them around. They cost a fortune feeding, but it's the best entertainment. It really is. Yeah, they've whole lives. These little guys living their whole lives, and obviously they just love this feeder. You know, it's actually loads of food around for them to eat this time of year, but I just love feeding them. And they will flap around that until all the feed is gone, and then they'll hang around in the tree, just kind of having little chats and everything, till about 7, 8 o'clock at night. Can I take some video of the expedition for the channel? Oh yeah, oh yeah, yes indeedy. And it won't be it won't be one of these really trendy camping videos what like other people have, I wouldn't think, because I've discovered they've all bought drones. This seems to be the thing now. I'd no idea. All the ones I'm watching, oh look, I got a huge drip on. I don't know where that came. It just came down as a big plop. I'm glad I didn't do gouache. Um, that'll dry out okay with the ink. Uh, but I won't be able to draw over. But yeah, they bring drones out with them, and they have the drones all flying around, and they're kind of waving from the top of a mountain while their fantastic drone is zooming around the place, getting spectacular shots. Some of them are great. I'm absolutely addicted now to the Scottish girls channel at this stage. Um, Wild Bear, I think is her name, Beare, and she's doing the Scottish Highlands, trekking the Scottish Highlands, and she has a drone. A lot of them do it though, but mine won't be high tech like that, but it'll be spectacular because the scenery here, like even in my back garden, like I mean, it's pretty rugged, isn't it? It's great. And then it has the art twist as well, you see, because we're going out with a mission. And the idea for doing the sunset and sunrise came from another painter's channel that I really like. And she's from the Netherlands, and I can't remember her name, Von Roos or something like that, or else Roos is her first name. But she does these paintings that are very loose, gestural kind of paintings. But she does a lot of painting on beach and out in landscapes, and she's done a few really nice sunsets, and she's done some sunrises on beaches as well. And her channel is fantastic. I love her channel because her paintings are very she might take a few hours to do them, but they're just very fresh and lively paintings, and they're just really oil painty, painterly oil paints. So that's where I got the idea. I thought, yeah, I'd love to be able to do sunsets or sunrises that aren't corny, you know what I mean? That are that's the way to do them, I think, to be sitting with them in the landscape for a few hours, and just get sensitive to it. And then, of course, the problem is when do the midges come out? Sunrise and sunset. I may have to buy a bulb hood. It may be the thing to do because I sound like a wuss, but these minuscule little midges. It's not even when they're biting you. It's 2 days later. The itchiness of the bites is unbelievable, and like you look like you had the measles or something, but like just the itchiness of them. So that's it. I'm gonna leave. It's 1 minute to 3, and we managed to live stream in lashings of rain. Glad I didn't do the gouache. I still had most of the page dry. That came down in sort of a couple of gusts. I only have my clearance, you see, for this isn't good. I have to admit. If you look how far that is away from me, it's very close. It's just past the end of the sketch pad. And I could have come out a little bit more, but I didn't want it too dark under here, you know. So it's goodbye from me, goodbye from the birdies, and goodbye from the rain-sodden gardens. So that's what we'll do. Go and have an adventure. The fact that you didn't say, "Oh my God, don't do it," I'm taking that as official approval to take the company van out and do this thing, man. If we ever get the weather, this could be summer now. I don't think I'd go out in this weather. It has to be like sunny when at least when you're setting out, and then you put up with kind of a bit nastier later on. But at least set out in nice weather. You wouldn't get clear sky in this weather. And if I don't get clear skies, if the weather can change at a moment's notice. If it did, um, I can still, like the last time I went out to that mountain, the place I'm going, I have a video up of it. And when I went there the last time, it was very misty. And I still got a painting out of it. I must actually dig the painting out and I compare the work I do on this expedition from that done on the last expedition and see what happens. You know. Okay, well, thank you very much for tuning in. And whatever happens, we're going to have a great rest of this summer. We'll all have interesting adventures. So bye bye from me. Bye bye from the birdies. See you, folks. Thanks for dropping by.